To continue in the study of تذكرة السامع والمتكلم of Ibn Jamaah rahimahullah, before we stop the classes, we reached the third chapter, in which he mentions that there are three chapters in this affair of regarding the manners of Al-Muta'allim, the one learning, the student himself. So the first subheading that he mentions is the manners of the student in of himself. And he says there are 10 types. The first one we mentioned last time, that he purifies his heart from the different diseases that the heart can have. And today we'll go to the second type, is that he has a good intention in seeking knowledge, in which he seeks the face of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that he acts in accordance with this knowledge, and that he revives the sharia, the legislation, and that he he enlightens his heart, and that he purifies and beautifies his inner self, and that he seeks nearness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the day of judgment, and that he comes across that which that which has been prepared for the people who seek knowledge from the pleasure of Allah and His great bounties. As we mentioned before, that the husn niyyah, the good intention, what is intended by that is that it has four affairs regarding having a good intention. One is that one seeks knowledge to raise ignorance from his own self. One seeks knowledge to raise ignorance from oneself. Secondly, that he seeks this knowledge with the intention to raise ignorance from others. Thirdly, that he does so to preserve the legislation of Al-Islam, the Islamic legislation, from being put to waste. And fourth, that he acts in accordance to his knowledge. That he acts in accordance. These are the four affairs that one should have his intention. One, that he raises ignorance from himself, he raises ignorance from others, he tries to preserve the sharia, the legislation, and fourth, that he acts in accordance to his knowledge. As he says, وَقَالَ سُفْيَانَ الثَّوْرِي, Sufyan al-Thawri said that I have not strived to fix something which is harder upon me to fix than my own intention. I have not strived to fix something which is hard upon me to fix than my own intention. This narration the Shaykh mentions that in the chain of it are narratives that he did not find any biography for. Now this statement, the scholars I mentioned, is correct. For the heart, they say, يَتَقَلَّبْ, the heart constantly changes and turns. For that reason, Prophet said, Ya muqallib al-qulub, thabbit qalbi ali, oh you change of the hearts, keep my heart firm upon your religion. The heart, it constantly changes and goes from one state to another. So it's hard for it to keep it at one state. So it's hard for one to correct his intention and to keep it at that one state, for it changes. So it's something which is hard for one to strive to correct. Then the author mentions that he should not be from those who seek by knowledge the different affairs of the dunya, from attaining position or leadership or wealth, or to challenge or mubahat al-aqran, to be from those who try to challenge his own classmates, and to ta'zim al-nas la, or to have the people exonerate him, or to be from those who are put forth in the sittings, and other than that. He should not change that which is lower for that which is better. Meaning that a person should have his intentions all high for the sake of Allah. He should not lower his reason of seeking knowledge due to these lowly dunyawi worldly benefits. And the scholars mentioned from the Shaykh Salih Usaymi that from the foolishness of a man is that he changes that which is going to come to an end and is lowly for that which is high and expensive. Meaning the correct intention, by it you attain reward from Allah and great pleasure from Allah and great rewards. But you change that and you leave that for the praise of the people, which will come to an end and is lowly. Then he says, وَقَالَ Abu Yusuf rahimullah, Ya qawm, O my people, or O people, intend by your knowledge Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for I have not sat in a sitting in which I have intended in it that I lower myself for the sake of Allah, except I did not stand from that sitting, except I am the highest amongst them, amongst the people. And I have not sat in a sitting in which I have intended that I am the highest and greatest amongst them, except that when I stand from amongst them, I am exposed. I am exposed. So here it is important that we understand that one humbles himself. For here what he's mentioning is that If he sits in a sitting which he humbles himself, when he stands, he's seen to be the greatest of them. But when he sits in a sitting in which he does not humble himself, and he thinks of himself greater than them, when he stands, he gets exposed for his intention. And the Prophet ﷺ, he said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in Hadith al-Qudsi, "Man tawada'a li hakadha rafa'tuhu hakadha." The one who humbles himself to me like this, and he points with his hand to the earth, Allah will raise him like this, and he points with his hand to the sky. So it's important for one who is seeking knowledge to be humble. مَا تَوَاضَ أَحَدٌ لِلَّهِ إِلَّا رَفَعَهُ. None humbles himself for the sake of Allah, except Allah raises him. He says, after, and knowledge is worship from the different acts of worship, and a means of seeking nearness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you correct your intention in it, it will be accepted, and it will be increased, and its benefits and blessings will be increased. But if you intend by it other than the face of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it will be put to waste and loss, and you'll be from those who have lost. And perhaps you will not attain those intents that you had, and your intention will be put to loss, and your striving will be put to loss. And this is important for us to understand, that one corrects his intention, even if it is in something small, and one does not ruin his intention. As it calls Ibn Mubarak rahimahullah, he said, how many actions which were great were made small due to the intention, and how many actions which were small were made great due to the intention. And you find this often, that one, for example, one gives sadaqah with $1, and intends by that the face of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and seeking nearness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah will reward him for that intention and accept that sadaqah. And you find another individual gives $50,000 maybe, just to show off to the people and to make himself be seen as someone who is given for the sake of Allah, but in reality is not. And it's well known the hadith, أول من تسعر بهم النار, that the first three to be thrown in the hellfire, one is the one who used to recite the Quran for other than the sake of Allah. Other one was the one who should strive in the path of Allah for other than the sake of Allah. The one who was spend. So we said he's Jawad, that he is one who is spending in the path of Allah. And it was said to him, Qadqil. It was said that the Qari al-Quran, you recite the Quran, so you could be said al-Qari. The one who strived in the path of Allah, is you got what you wanted from the dunya, from the people, that they said you're mujahid. And the other one, you got what you wanted from the people, that they said that you are generous. So it's not something, so it's important that we correct our intentions regarding these affairs. When we recite the Quran, read the Quran, teach the Quran, our intention is correct. It's for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We're not doing it for the affairs of the dunya, to attain wealth of the people, to attain the praise of the people. If they praise us, that is تِلْكَ عَجِبُ الْمُؤْمِنِ. That is a glad tidings from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But if they did not praise us, we continue with our da'wah, or we continue with our teaching, or we continue with our good deeds. Why? Because in reality we intend by the face of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is reward. We correct our intention in these affairs, and we do not correct our intention due to the people and that which they intend from us. Then he says, the third type, or the third point, that he strives at the time of when he is young. That he strives at the time when he is young, and at different times of his lifetime, to attain this knowledge. He should not be misled by the word sofa. I will do so and so. I will do it later. Wa ta'mil, and putting off and having hopes. For every hour that passes in the life of a person, it will never come back. It will never come back. And these points, the scholars mention that that he should strive in the time of when he is young. As the scholars mentioned from Al-Hasan, the Hasan al-Basri, that he says knowledge in the seeking at the time of young is like a naqshu fil hajar, is like the engravement in a stone. So the one who seeks knowledge when he is young, at a young age, that knowledge stays, and it stays firm. And it stays firm in his heart. So it's important that those who are young and still youthful, that they strive in seeking knowledge. For these years when you gain the benefits and the knowledge, it stays firm in your heart. And it stays with you. Because your shawaghil, that which busies you, are not much. So this knowledge stays. And then, they also mention Hasan al-Basri, rahimahullah, that he said, Ibn Adam, إنما أنت أيام. Ibn Adam, you're only days. فإذا ذهب منك يوم ذهب منك بعدك. If a day of yours leaves, then some of you has left. So the day you lose of not benefiting, you will never get it back. The hour you lose of not benefiting, you'll never get it back. It's important that we strive to benefit in our time, and in our days. As for the word sofa, there's a benefit that Ibn al-Jawzi mentioned, rahimahullah, that sofa is from the beams of Iblis. It is from the beams of Iblis which he uses to turn people away from good. It is from the beams of Iblis that he uses, that I will do so-and-so, sofa, I will do so-and-so later on. This is from the beams of Iblis, for him to turn people away from good. Then the author mentions, he should not be put off by inner affairs nor external affairs from seeking knowledge and striving and being firm in regards to attaining knowledge, for that is like that which cuts off the path. For that reason, some of the scholars they mention is recommended that one leaves his family to seek knowledge, and leaves his place of abode, or leaves his land to seek knowledge, because the different thoughts, if the different thoughts are spread in your brain, it doesn't let you attain the reality of something and the different detailed points. Allah says, مَا جَعَلَ اللَّهُ لِرَجُلٍ مِنْ قَلْبَيْنِ فِي جَوْفِهِ. Allah did not place for the human two hearts, قَلْبَيْنِ فِي جَوْفِهِ, in his body. For that reason said that knowledge, if you're to give it some of you, you will not attain knowledge until you give it all of you. That al-ilm la yu'tika ba'duh, knowledge will not give you some of it if you did not give it all of it. So for that reason they say it's recommended for the student knowledge to travel and to be away from his family, so he does not have stuff that preoccupy him, and the benefits they stay, and he remember any benefits. And some of the scholars they mention that a person will not attain complete knowledge until he leaves and he travels to seek knowledge. And this, Shaykh Salih al-Usaymi mentioned, this is a great foundation from the different great foundations of the Sharia. He says from the foundation of seeking knowledge is that one travels to seek it. And he says Al-Khatib al-Baghdadi wrote a book, Al-Ruhla fi Talab al-Hadith, traveling to seek hadith. And it comes from Al-Khatib al-Baghdadi fil Jamaah, from some of them, they said, La yanal, one will not attain this knowledge except for the one who does not recognize his chair. Meaning, he is out of his house so much, seeking knowledge and seeking benefits, going from one place to another, that he does not recognize the chair that he has at home. Or that he is left alone or that he leaves his garden alone until it goes bad, because he's so occupied with seeking knowledge. Or that his brothers boycott him, his friends and brothers boycott him, because he's never around them, he's seeking knowledge, he's busy. Or that his close relatives, they pass away and he does not even witness the janazah. One will not attain knowledge except through situations like this, he said. Now this, in reality, as the scholars they mention, is by way of al-mubalagha, is not in reality, they did not intend the reality of this, but they're just emphasizing how important it is to have these affairs. I mean, how they're emphasizing the severity of this affair and the greatness of this affair. They did not intend specifically these things, but what, as the scholars mentioned, by way of mubalagha, to emphasize the affair. And he says, as he mentioned, even these affairs, if they're a bit outstretched, the intent is that one cannot gain knowledge except that he gathers his heart and gathers his thoughts. And it is said that some of the mashayikh, they commanded their student with that which Khatib al-Baghdadi seemed to be commanded with. So he said at the end he commanded him that he should color his thobe, so that his thobe does not bother him and occupy him the thought of washing it, because the white thobe gets dirty easily. So he said it might occupy you the thought of washing and cleaning it often. So color your thobe so that you're not occupied by this thought. And from that which is said from Shafi'i, they said that if I was overburdened to buy a onion, I would not understand one matter. And this, as we mentioned again, is way al-mubalagha, emphasizing in regards to clarifying that occupying yourself with other knowledge cuts you off. It can cut you off. And this is important because you find that the scholars they mentioned that if you occupy yourself with something other than knowledge, at the beginning it starts with something small. An example, you occupy yourself with attaining wealth. In the beginning, you say, I'm going to attain a certain amount of wealth, and inshallah, I won't turn me away from knowledge. I'll attain, let's say, I'll work and I'll make this much money a month, and the rest of the day, after work, I'll study. Slowly and slowly, that affair of attaining wealth or something of the dunya starts to increase you in wanting it more. Now, you want more money. now you want to work more to attain more money. So slowly and slowly it takes you away from seeking knowledge. That does not mean you leave it in totality. Why? Because as the scholars mentioned, Shafi himself had a wife and he had children that he was commanded by the legislation to take care of. What it means is that one should not preoccupy himself with other than knowledge to the extent where it makes him leave off knowledge. To the extent where it makes him leave off knowledge. For these affairs are from the affairs which, if people do not take seriously, it will be from that which takes them away from seeking knowledge. And it's well known, you find some brothers, they find work or they find certain things they're doing in life, and it cuts them away from knowledge. The benefits that they used to read, they stop reading. The books they used to read, they stop reading. The shelf is now has dust on it. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive us for our sins and our shortcomings. Point number 4, he says that he is pleased with provisions which are little, with that which is made easy for him, even if it is little, and from clothing with that which covers him, and that he be patient upon a hard life, and with that he will attain knowledge, and his heart will be gathered upon the different his heart will be gathered away or is turned away from the different hopes which those who try to attain the dunya have. He says, Al-Shafi'i said that none seeks this knowledge by way of kingship or having arrogance. That none seeks this knowledge by way of kingship or having arrogance, and he is successful. Rather, the one who seeks it by striving and having a hard life and serving this cause, he will be successful. And it is said, and this narration, Al-Shafi'i is sahih, it's authentic that he said this. And he said that Al-Shafi'i also said that none is able to seek knowledge except for the one who is bankrupt. And this narration is also authentic to Al-Shafi'i. And then it was said to him, what about this rich one who is sufficient, self-sufficient, meaning does not bother him? He said, وَلَلْغَنِي الْمُكَفِّي, not even that type of individual. And this is also from Mubalagha. And the intent is that there's no aib, there's no problem with a student not having money. But the intent is that the hardship or the harm that money brings when seeking knowledge. Why? Because when a person has money, he's worried about is protecting it, he's worried about profiting more, increasing it, and like this. So when he has this money, he's constantly worried about what is going to happen to it, how am I going to deal with it, interact with this wealth. So at times it is a reason to turn him away from this knowledge. He says, Malik said, none of you will seek this knowledge, none of you will seek from this knowledge that which he intends until he tastes hunger, or until he tastes poverty. And he puts this knowledge forth upon everything. You will not taste knowledge until you do that. And this narration is authentic from Malik rahimahullah as well. It says Abu Hanifa said that one seeks aid upon fiqh, upon seeking knowledge, by gathering his different thoughts. And that he seeks by it putting away the different harmful internal affairs by only taking that which is in need of and does not increase upon that. And this narration is also authentic from Abu Hanifa rahimahullah. Because if he has many internal affairs that he's constantly dealing with and trying to attain different things, then that takes him away from seeking knowledge. He says these are the statements of these great scholars who have a great amount of it. These are the statements of these great scholars who have attained a great amount of knowledge. And this was their condition. That they did not care about wealth. Rather, they mentioned that poverty, the one who's in a state of poverty, gains more knowledge. And that it is one, if you have not tasted poverty, you won't gain knowledge. Al-Khatib rahimahullah mentioned, it is recommended for the student that he remains azaban, single, so long as he's able to. So that being occupied with the rights of the wife doesn't preoccupy him from seeking knowledge. And seeking a livelihood does not preoccupy him from seeking knowledge. And this in reality, as the scholar mentions, that if one is in need of getting married, and he has the means, then the Prophet ﷺ, he said, Ya ma'ashar shabab, the one who is able to get married, and has al-ba'a, meaning he has the means to get married, or he has a house, and other than that, the scholars mentioned the mean al-ba'a, then in that way he gets married. But the one who is not struggling and does not need to get married, and he is able to seek knowledge, and put off marriage a bit, then the scholars mention it's recommended for him to put it off a bit. Why? So that he's not occupied with different affairs that marriage brings. Sufyan al-Thawri said, Man tazawwaja, the one who gets married, then he is riding a spacious affair, spacious and dangerous affair. And if he has a child, then his affliction is even greater, for he will be turned away by it. He will be turned away due to it. Meaning he has constant affairs that he has to deal with and occupy with, from the affairs of the wife, of his spouse, or from the affairs of his children. It will turn him away from knowledge. And this is not in totality. Some of the scholars have mentioned rather when being married, it makes seeking knowledge easier. And as well known, the audio of Shaykh Musa Abad and Shaykh Abu Amr al-Hajuri is asked, and he mentioned that getting married actually makes seeking knowledge easier, for you come home and the food is ready, your wife is taking care of your affairs, you're taking care of her affairs, and it's not as hard as some of them they make. And the one who asks Allah, he seeks aid of Allah to make it easy for him, Allah makes it easy for him. So it should not be that something that getting married turns them completely away from knowledge. Rather, at times marriage could actually help in the affair of him seeking knowledge. And there's many stories of that occurring, whereas the wife, she helps her husband attain more knowledge and encourage him to attain more knowledge. And he says, in summary, the leaving marriage for the one who is not in need of it, or the one who is able to do it, but he's not in need of it, is better for him not to do so, not to get married. Especially for the student whose main intent is to gather different benefits. So this is important to understand from this book regarding the manners of the student. We'll stop with this inshallah, continue next week. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.